Welcome back, trainers. So with all the Gen 4 hype and now the announcement that we're going to be getting the CP rework tomorrow at 1 p.m. PST. So get ready, here it comes. I think they're dropping it then because all of this Gen 4 hype is building up. They told us to save our candies from previous generation Pokemon for the new Sinnoh evolutions coming up. And then we see the new evolution item, the Sinnoh Stone, in the data mine because, well, that's probably what we're going to be using to make them evolve. I'm still uncertain at this point that if we're going to get one of those stones or the specific ones for those evolutions. Nonetheless, we're getting the rework tomorrow. Get hype, it's finally coming, and we're going to be going over Palkia and Dialga because Giratina is going to be leaving on the 20th. Still have a few days, but I thought I'd give you some tips on what you should do for that boss. And before we take a look at Palkia and Dialga's stats, we're over here on good old Trails' Twitter to see what he has found. And well, what do you see here? In the options, we have Nintendo Switch. Now, personally, when I go into the options, I do not see this. And this is going to be for version 0.127.1. All right, so that's the newest one. So Nintendo Switch, that's going to be to connect to it, obviously. And then you have the new Pokeball Plus, which is going to act just like a Go Plus when it's connected to Pokemon Go. All right, and then the Pokemon Go Plus, the regular, push the button there. So if you're thinking to yourself, what is the big deal with the new Pokeball Plus other than buying it and getting a Mew and transferring it into Pokemon Let's Go? And then what? Well, you can put Pokemon into it and you're thinking, oh, okay. Yeah, you can hear sounds that they make, various different sound, earn candies, I do believe. So, I mean, it's a fun little perk, right? It's neat. It's going to be rechargeable and all that. It's not going to take regular batteries, right? And there you have it for the images there. All right, and then they actually have an option for you to buy a Pokeball Plus. All right, that's convenient, right? And then Nintendo Switch connecting. Now that looks just like when you kind of connect your Go Plus. It's pretty much going to be, sync it up and then tap this button here on the Switch and then tap it on your Pokemon Go and then it'll connect. Simple as that. Right, so we are over here on the Go Hub. Let's go ahead and take a look at Palkia and see what we have going on here. This thing is actually going to be outperforming Dragonite, but Rayquaza is still going to be doing better. So it does have a decent moveset. As far as the charge moves, we'll discuss that. So max CP is going to be 3,991, attack at a whopping 280, defense 215, and stamina 189. So Palkia is looking great, A+ for sure. So let's go ahead and take a look at the weaknesses here. We have Dragon and Fairy, and that's the only weaknesses, resisting fire, water, and steel. Right, so let's go ahead and take a look at its moves here. For its quick moves, we have Dragon Tail, which is a fantastic move, A+ on that, and then Dragon Breath. So as you can see, no water quick moves, which is going to quickly rule it out for being on the top offensive water Pokemon. And for its charge moves, we have Draco Meteor, Hydro Pump, and Fire Blast. All one charge bar moves. Unfortunately, Draco Meteor at least is a massively strong move. So if you put on Dragon Tail and then Draco Meteor, you'll be doing some massive damage to neutral Pokemon or other dragon types. So if you want to go up against, I don't know, Palkia with your own Palkia, say maxed it out or something, powered it up pretty good, and the other Palkia had Hydro Pump or Fire Blast, you're going to be looking golden to go up against it. So Palkia itself is going to be a magnificent counter against it. Alright, so for Palkia's counters, let's go over my Pokemon here. I could go over to some website and just show you what they have, but I just want to do it like this. So obviously number one is going to be Rayquaza with Dragon Tail and Outrage. Now I do have the newest update and I ran into some issues with searching, and I'll explain really quick. So when you search a Pokemon, say you're making a party, right? And you search ghost types and you want to make a whole ghost team or whatever specific type you're looking for, right? And you tap the first Pokemon, you put it in your Gengar, whatever. The next one you're thinking, oh, I put in ghost. So as soon as I type it in, let me just show you right here. So we'll type in ghost. All right. So we have our ghost type. Then we go put it in. Usually it's going to stay saying ghost. But when I go back in, it's gone. And that's a big bummer because that was so nice. It was literally a quality of life feature that I was enjoying every time I did it. And every time it happened, I was just like, whew, so nice. But just to let you know, that's gone with the newest version. Unfortunately, I don't know why. All right, so back onto the counters. Number one for Palkia is going to be Rayquaza. I mean, arguably, this is going to be the highest damage output onto it. But if you had Palkia itself with Dragon Tail and Draco Meteor, and say the Palkia raid boss had I don't know, whatever quick dragon move, and then Hydro Pump or Fire Blast, I think Palkia is going to be doing a little bit better. It's going to last a little bit longer. I mean, not necessarily, because Outrage is just so strong. I think Rayquaza is still going to be outperforming it. Actually, it is. But just food for thought, when that comes out, if you get a good one right away, you may want to consider powering up. It's not really necessary at all. All right, you can go in there with Dragonite next, which would be another fantastic Pokemon to use. Of course, there's Salamence. I don't have one powered up, but if you do, that is going to be a good option. Keep in mind, if it obviously has dragon moves, the Palkia raid boss, you're going to be getting destroyed with your own dragons. But if you wanted to, you can go in here with a Gardevoir. You can use Confusion. That's not going to be a bad option. It's going to be neutral damage. And then Dazzling Gleam is going to be super effective. And if you have Cloudy Weather, well, there you go, 120 per Dazzling Gleam. And you're going to be taking resisted damage if that Palkia does have dragon moves, because dragon's not very effective to fairy types, right? You also have Alolan Exeggutor, which is a good option. It's going to be grass and dragon type. So if that Palkia does have, say, Hydro Pump, this is going to be working great, because this as well can learn Outrage. So Dragon Tail and Outrage. You don't want to go in there with Solar Beam, okay? All right, but so there's another option there. You also have, Alolan Ninetales. I mean, that could work, I suppose. Look out if it has Fire Blast, but otherwise you're going to be taking reduced damage from those dragon moves, and then you have Dazzling Gleam. Now remember, Palkia is a dragon type. A lot of people associate that with weakness to ice, but it's going to be part water, so it's not going to have any of that weakness, making it a great Pokemon to use in a PvP match or dropping it in a gym, but you can't drop it in a gym, so no. So there you have the counters. I'll go ahead and set up a team really quick for you so we can see what that looks like. Alright, so here's my team. Now take note, this is just my personal setup. If you had a Salamence, you probably would replace that with the Mew, and everything else would be legit. If you're trying to go with a 6 unique team, obviously if you had the Rayquazas, that's what you would want to use purely, or the most of, followed up by Dragonite, and then Gardevoir, and then Salamence. Now keep in mind, it also depends on the move that it has. If it has dragon moves, your dragons are going to fall hard. If it has water or fire moves, then your dragons are going to survive and take reduced damage. So just keep that in mind, all right? And there you have it. Dragonite is going to be a solid option because it has good defense. Gardevoir is going to be taking reduced damage from those dragon moves. And then Salamence, if you were to put that in there, is just a massive powerhouse of damage. I'm using my Mew because it has Dazzling Gleam and Poison Jab. Poison Jab is just going to be neutral damage, and Dazzling Gleam is super effective, right? And then my Gyarados, of course, has Dragon Tail with Outrage. We'll be going over that here in just a second. And then finally, Alolan Exeggutor with Dragon Tail and Outrage. Now, Alolan Exeggutor is part grass type, but that's okay because it's also part dragon, so it's not taking super effective from fire if the Palkia did have it. And then, of course, you have Gyarados with Dragon Tail and Outrage. That can be a fantastic counter to go up against it. Honestly, I think that's going to be something that I may want to put on my team, because if it has Hydro Pump, you're good to go. That's not very effective. If you have Fire Blast, you're good to go. Not very effective. And Draco Meteor is just neutral damage. So it's going to be doing a lot, but if you pick Dragonite, you should be good to go on all fronts no matter what. So that is a fantastic option, probably one of the best suggestions I can give to you, other than the Pokemon I previously showed you. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to Dialga. So here we have Dialga, the Steel and Dragon type, with a max CP of 4038, attack 275, defense 211, and stamina 205. So this thing is fairly tanky with a massive attack as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at its weaknesses and resistances. Now, we always know every time we see a Steel type on a Pokemon, they're going to have a ton of resistances, as you can see here. So we had to get very specific as to what you're going to use when you go up against this as a raid boss. So it's going to be weak to fighting and ground, and that's it. Resisting grass, poison, bug, electric, flying, normal, psychic, rock, steel, and water. So when you're going in these raids with people who don't really know what they're doing, don't get upset. Just educate them on which types they should use, because I can see a lot of people failing this raid and timing out because they're just going in there with whatever they're giving them, and they're not getting specific to maximize their damage. Because when you have something that's resisting like this, you need to know what you're doing, okay? So we have week 2, fighting ground, correct? All right, let's remember that. Now for its moves, we have Metal Claw and Dragon Breath, all right? Charge moves, Thunder, Draco Meteor, and Iron Head. Now we have something a little bit different on this one because it's going to have a 2 charge bar move, which is going to get slightly more difficult for specific situations, I suppose. And that is going to be Iron Head right there. So that's actually going to be a good thing when you catch him, and if you're considering powering it up to use as a attacker of some sort, that's going to be an A+, right? And then you have Draco Meteor. So let's go ahead and take a look at the counters to see what we can use to go up against this. Okay, so as far as ground type Pokemon, I'm just going to stick with Groudon right there with Mudshot and Earthquake. And I wouldn't say that's going to be your number 1 option. I think personally, Machamp is going to be the king yet again, coming in, reigning supremo. All right, so also Lucario. I mean, it is part steel type, you know, with counter and close combat. It's no dynamic punch, but oh man, I've used Lucario through so many situations and it performs so good. If it had Aura Sphere, it would be better than Machamp, period. That's it. It doesn't matter if its attack is not as high as Machamp, it's just right behind it. But the fact that it can just survive that long because of the steel type just makes it magnificent. So let's focus here. Dialga, fighting and ground type, which Pokemon you want? Well, a lot of people have a 6-pack of Machamps, and that's basically what you're going to want to go with, right? But for the people who don't, say you just have 1 or 2, so you have Machamp, perfect. All right, now let's keep going and seeing what else you can possibly use. Hariyama, that's it right there. You know, another one of those strong, tanky Pokemon dealing a lot of damage, also with a lot of stamina. I mean, look at that HP. I haven't even maxed it out, and it's sitting at 229 HP. So, I mean, that's great. Now, I know I have a lot of these fighting Pokemon powered up that other people wouldn't. So, close combat and then counter, of course, with Infernape. And then with Heracross, you would go with counter and close combat as well. And that would be a decent option also. And then you have Breloom, of course, with counter Dynamic Punch. Always a good fighting type Pokemon to use. The only downfall is it's quite the glass cannon. This is maxed out, sitting on 105 HP. So it will be going down quite quick. But at the end of the day, it does dish out quite a bit of damage. So that's a pretty good choice. And then, like I said earlier, Lucario with close combat and counter. That thing just always impresses me. And then it's just going to go down there. Of course, a lot of you may have this one powered up now. So Blaziken with counter and Focus Blast, okay? So, of course, there's other Pokemon that have fighting moves that you could use. But I'm just going to stick to these. So I'm going to go ahead and make a team. And let's see what that looks like. Alright, so once again, I did make a 6 unique team. There's going to be other options out there that you can use. So don't bash me too hard for picking these Pokemon. First up is going to be Machamp with counter Dynamic Punch. And then Groudon with Mudshot and Earthquake. Hariyama with counter Dynamic Punch. And yes, we're going to put in a Donphin. And if you're wondering what? That's right, Donphin is going to have counter and Earthquake. And what is Dialga weak against? Fighting and ground. So that one just takes the cake. Threw it in the 4th spot there because I feel like that's going to be a solid option. We'll go over its moves right after this and look at it. And then you have Blaziken with counter and Focus Blast. And then Lucario with counter and close combat. So those are my options there. And of course, you can just go in there with a 6-pack of Machamps. Or 3 Machamps, 3 Hariyamas, however you like to mix and match them up. Or Groudons, okay? So this is going to be a fun Pokemon to go up against. And just make sure you teach the people who are at the raids who don't know what to use. And if you guys time out, just tell them. Because if you do that, they'll learn. And then they can go to the next raid and have a little bit more knowledge on how to, you know, prepare themselves or use actual super effective Pokemon, okay? It's the best way to go about it. If you get frustrated with people, they're just going to get upset and turn them off from the game. You don't want to do that. If they're out there having fun, help them out. Right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the Donphin, like I said, and this is going to be the last bit before I end the video. So of course, you're definitely not going to want Play Rough. You're going to want Earthquake. Let's see if I have one. No, so I have to TM the one that I currently have, which I will do once that comes out. As a matter of fact, just to be the example, I'll go ahead and do it now, okay? Let's go ahead and get Earthquake on there, not Heavy Slam, because this is going to be a good option. I mean, it's going to be real good. I really like Donphin too. Alright, but let's please not use... Oh my gosh. I'll be the example, I say. Yeah, the example to use all my charge TMs. Okay, there. Oh, God. All right, there you go. So, yes, it's going to be good, and that was worth it. It's fine. I'll get all my charge TMs again. So, let's max this Donphin out. Let's call it a day and do that right here. There you go. I think is that it? Oh, no, one more. Is he going to hit 3? No way! Excellent. Well, there you go. Donphin's all ready to go. I actually almost feel like walking. There's no point, but... Alright, trainers, thank you for watching. Let's get hype, and I'll be catching you all next time. Take care.